Okay, the second part of our program, as you know, is about the Werthwein family. We have a very special presenter of the Werthwein family, Dr. Mary Reichardt, who is Professor Emeritus with University of St. Thomas in Minneapolis.
St. Paul.
And she is a well-trained expert in genealogy. So
Very
she
good.
really has some interesting stories of the Werthwein family early, and appreciate that information tonight. And we have Kay Werthwein Irving,
My fourth cousin.
Yes.
fourth cousin,
Thank you.
who's also presenting. Mary has a PowerPoint presentation for hers, and we'll switch a little bit. And with Mike's help, there's some photos that will go with Kay's remarks. So again, thank you and welcome, and thank you for being here.
Sure. So I was brought up in LaGrange, and when I was coming up in LaGrange, I heard two family stories. One was about a relative who had actually moved to the Wild West of California and became a cowboy. And the second was a relative who had a farm somewhere. So eventually, and for me as an urban kid, both of those stories were exotic. Eventually, I investigated the Wild West story. It was somewhat other than being a cowboy, but I met all those cousins and still get together with them occasionally. And then a couple years ago, I turned to the farming relative, and that's who I'm speaking about tonight, the Werthweins, and my connection to that family. So my family actually has two connections to Hampshire, one through Eberhard Werthwein, and one through Louisa Kafer Ream. So are there any Reams here tonight? I don't see too many hands. Okay. And of course, my great disadvantage for you all is I've never lived in Hampshire. That's where Kay, my fourth cousin, will take over because she's got the inside scoop. I'm just a fond outside genealogist.
Wonderful.
And of course, genealogy is a rabbit hole. You can go for endless ages into it. Very hard to organize. So I prepared that handout for you. And since my time is quite short, I'm just going to ad lib through the important parts of that handout, but it's there for you. And also, I'll be showing you some pictures that I put together, and this presentation will be available to you too. I'm leaving an extra zip, I believe, with Bonnie that has it on you. So we have two connections, as I mentioned, to Hampshire. And I'd like to really begin with the Werthweins and way back in history here a little bit to Germany. Okay, so the Werthwein family comes originally from southern Germany. If you see right about where I'm pointing, that's Stuttgart, right around the area of Stuttgart. They can be, and then they actually came from this small town. It's going to be a little hard to see here. Here's Stuttgart. I just wanted to show you that previous map to place you. Here's Stuttgart. And then they came, let's see, from Nittlingen. Do you see that way up there? Yeah. But just so you know, it's kind of northwest of Stuttgart is Nittlingen. So, back again, the Werthweins originally came from a tiny town right next to Nittlingen called Diefenbach. And I can trace them back to 1534 in that area. They were farmers in wine production, as their name indicates, Werthwein, which means worthy wine or wine of value or something related to that. George Martin Werthwein, my fourth great-grandfather, married a Nittlingen woman in 1788 and moved to that town. So again, you see Nittlingen up there kind of more toward the left. and I'll be coming to her in a second. So he raised his family in Nittlingen. His son, Philip Jacob Werthwein, a blacksmith, married Rosina Frederica Dervector in Nittlingen. And the Dervectors can be traced back to Nittlingen to the 1660s. So Philip and Rosina had 7 children, 3 of whom died as infants. In 1851, the 4 remaining children, all in their 20s, emigrated to the United States. And these were Jacob Eberhard Werthwein, you know him as Eberhard Werthwein, Louisa Wilhelmine Werthwein, then my great-great-grandmother, Louisa Wilhelmine Werthwein. The third sister was Wilhelmina Katharina Werthwein, and then last sister was Christina Rosina Werthwein. And also accompanying them was Louisa's illegitimate daughter, Rosine Louisa Werthwein. So again, the year is 1851. The 4 Werthwein siblings, came over together. And my great-great-grandmother, Louisa Wilhelmine Werthwein, Eberhard's sister, and they called her Moody. And I learned only later, I used to hear the word moody in my family. It's corruption of mutti, mother. She spoke no English. And I wonder if Eberhard did speak any English.
I do. Yeah.
So once they emigrated, the 4 Werthwein siblings originally lived in New York, in Newark, New Jersey, where they each soon married a German immigrant. Eberhard married Friederike Widmeyer. Louisa married John Kafer, my great-great-grandfather. There's a picture of him here in the middle. Wilhelmine married Augustus Trautz, and Christina married Joseph Verheilig. Louisa and John Kafer and Christina and Joseph Verheilig then moved to the Chicago area. Wilhelmina and Augustus Trautz stayed behind in New Jersey, where their family still lives, the extended family. So there are Werthweins in New Jersey. And in 1855, their mother, Rosina Frederica Dervector Werthwein, who had remarried after her husband's death to Johannes Wolf, emigrated to Chicago with their young daughter, Elizabeth Wolf, leaving her husband behind. And presumably, she lived in Chicago with one of her children, but I have not been able to find her death record. So in 1854, after his son Charles William Werthwein was born in Newark, Eberhard and his wife Friederike moved to Chicago. They rented land in Hampshire for 2 years, most likely because Eberhard's in-laws were here already, I think, the Widmeyers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
On October 20th, 1865, Eberhard purchased 40 acres of land from Havila Fields, and I heard Fields. Gustafson's talk mentioned a Fields.
Yes, but I'm not sure. I think the fields that may have been in California.
Oh, I see.
I'm
Okay.
not sure.
I heard you mention that. Anyway, this green down here, and it does say on the plat map E. Westwein, as you see. So that was a misspelling, but those were his original 40 acres. So that's the 1860 plat map. He made, and here I have the 1872 plat map with the larger area. He made additions until he had a large farm. So the family lived on that farm until 1882, when Eberhard built his family a large new home on the Werthwein addition. Meanwhile, Eberhard and Friederike had 3 more children born in Hampshire, but that's where I'll let Kay Irving take over, because that, of course, is her family. So my immediate connection through Eberhard, one of my great-great-grandmothers, Louisa Werthwein Kafer, and her husband John's children, was Rosa Kafer. Oh, I want to go back here for a second. I forgot this. So here's pictures of the Werthwein farm location,
Okay.
which seems to be under a little bit of dispute. But the early pictures clearly are annotated. I believe this is Ella's picture, yeah. And she says, or whoever wrote the annotation down here says, the old Werthwein farm is seen in the back. And this is the, what's now Sailor Pond, I think you call it. in Hampshire Park, Sailor Park. Yeah. So
Okay.
all the pictures seem to show that. Here's a
Wow.
second picture. This is from 1920 of them actually sailing. It's now the baseball diamond, right? But you see the same, if you compare those two pictures I show you, see the same Werthwein barn in the back.
Oh,
So I know I'm quite sure it was right there.
Do you know if he built the barn? or was
I
it
don't
there?
know.
Okay.
Don't know anything about that, but the property was right there, I believe, at the park. So one of my great-great-grandmothers, there she is, or my great-great-grandmother Louisa Werthwein Käfer, and her husband John's children was Rosa Käfer, my great-grandmother. Rosa married my great-grandfather Julius Anton Reichardt in Chicago, and they had 6 children, including twins Rosetta and Lulu Reichardt, who lived to be 99 and 100 years old, respectively. And here you have a nice 4-generation picture. That's, again, Eberhardt's sister, Louisa Käfer, Werthwein Käfer, her daughter to the left, my great-grandmother Rosa, one of their children in the back, and then her grandchild. So I mentioned that Rosa also had twins, Rosetta and Lulu, who lived till 99 and 100.
wow.
There they are in the back. And I'm telling you all this because it's this family that visited here in Hampshire to Eberhardt's farm for almost 90 years.
Wow.
Because Eberhardt was here so
Wonderful.
early, right? 1855. And their visits continued up to at least the early 1950s.
Wonderful.
We have pictures of those. They appear in the Hampshire paper as visitors quite a bit for funerals and weddings. Though sometimes, if you are into that, looking at some of those paper accounts, the last name of Reichardt is actually spelled Richard. They did that at that time. And Hampshire was kind of a summer escape, especially for those twins. They spent a lot of time with Eberhardt and the extended family. And in fact, they sent back, I love this. This is, my cousin owns this. This is a picture made from a postcard of Hampshire. Maybe some of you have seen this. It's in Ella's historic photographs of Hampshire. The postcard of Hampshire dates from 1904, but the twins sent it back in 1922 as a postcard back to their family in Forest Park. It says in the little, I realize it's a bad picture because it's an old photograph, but in the little script at the bottom, it says, East on Jefferson
Yeah, I
Street.
was just gonna say, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah. Can you tell that?
Yeah.
And here's the back of it, which I love. It says absolutely nothing. As kids write home,
Just got that.
we are spending a few days up here and having a good time. 1922. And then I give you a little on the second page here. Oh, and Rosetta, important to know, had also married a man. One of those twins married a man named Elmer Crick. And their 2 daughters, Marjorie and Virginia Crick, were often also in Hampshire. I'll be showing you pictures of them a little bit later. So on the second page here, what I have is Eberhardt's family sketched out, but again, that's Kay's business. So I'll leave it to her. Suffice it to say that my mother actually knew your sister, Phyllis.
Oh, really? Phyllis
My
Ring?
mother was the original genealogist and contacted Phyllis. And I have a picture, I believe, of Phyllis down the road
Oh,
here.
wow.
So, interesting family.
My brother and I just took a trip out to see where Phyllis and my grandmother had gone to this historical society, and it was so fun to find a letter from Phyllis and my grandmother at that historical society.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Let's see if in fact, I've got it in the very next one here.
Oh, yes.
So this is fascinating. I had done a lot of my own genealogy on the Durvectors and the Werthwein family, only to find out later that Phyllis, are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
Has this wonderful handwritten map or handwritten genealogical
I have never
chart.
seen it.
This dates from 1766. It's very hard for you to see here, I know, but I've attached at the very end, I have notes, and you can find it on Paul Grayson's website, that is all the connections between the Durvectors and the Werthweins in Germany. So really a precious thing, and I believe her son or someone in the family transcribed it all and uploaded it all, and yeah, had a professional transcription made of it. All right, so I want to go to page 3 now, because my second connection is through the Riem family.
Okay.
As mentioned, my great-great-grandmother, Louisa Wilhelmine Werthwein Käfer, and her 5 children often visited Eberhardt's farm in Hampshire. And on one of those early visits, Louisa's daughter, Rosine Werthwein, my great-grandaunt, with whom she had emigrated, met her husband. And Rosine went by Louisa and had taken her stepfather's last name, Käfer. So Louise Käfer married Franklin Benjamin Riem.
Oh, okay.
A very familiar name, I think,
Yes.
here in Hampshire. He sometimes goes by Benjamin Franklin Riem. And as you'll see, is a very patriotic family. So they had at least 8 children born in Hampshire. Lafayette, patriotic. Leif, Edgar, Lily, James Albert, Julius, Catherine, and a number of unnamed Riem sons who are buried in the cemetery here. Louisa died at age 50 of consumption. This was a time when lots of people were dying of consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And here are their children below. Leif Riem was kind of interesting to me. I got a lot of help, by the way, from Michelle Holt at your library,
Oh, yes.
who kept passing me articles, and she gave me the Leif Riem obit. But Leif Riem died tragically when he fell from a hayloft while he was asleep. Do you know these stories?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, good.
because
She knows them.
Michelle was great.
Michelle told you.
You have a wonderful library.
Oh,
in
she's been
Hampshire.
wonderful. She's been
Yes.
feeding me things.
Oh, yes.
So again, I'll leave you to read about the Riem children here if you choose, but I would
Oh,
just
go
like to
ahead.
finish with I have a few more attached photos and just fun stuff that I found that
Yes.
Michelle Holt had passed to me.
That's great.
Here is
Oh.
Bob and Bruce Riem.
Oh, my.
Love this
my.
picture.
Oh.
I told you Rosetta, one of the twins, Rosetta had married a man named Crick, and her 2 daughters were Virginia and Marjorie. And both very long lived. Virginia died just 2 years ago. Marjorie is still way up in her 90s right now and still living.
Wow.
But lovely picture here.
Yes.
Here's Bob Riem
Okay.
and Virginia Crick at a Riem family party in Elgin.
Wing Park. I got it.
And one of my favorite pictures of all times, and I was kind of
Oh.
hoping there'd be more Riems here because I
Yes.
can't identify 3/4 of these people. These are all Riems.
Okay.
The twins that I've been mentioning, the Reichardt twins, this third woman in, that's Lulu, and the second woman in on that side, that's Rosetta. Here are her 2 girls. Bob Riem is next to Rosetta. And then about 4 down is little Bruce Riem. So if anybody knows the Riems and would like to feed me names here,
Oh, my.
I'd like this. It almost looks professionally taken, and I kind of think my aunt took it. My Aunt Lillian, who was a photographer and often accompanied them up for these picnics and other events.
And this was at Wing Park.
This is what it's labeled Wing Park. That's all I know.
I have the newspaper clipping on that.
And then
I
again,
don't have it.
just a few fun things to show you. In 1872, Eberhard went back to Newark to seek his fortune. There was an estate somehow that he was trying to buy into.
It had that.
I take it he did not find his fortune. I don't know.
I hadn't heard about it.
Werthwein and Zimmer, the original meat market here,
Yes.
have had their ice house moved onto E. Werthwein's farm near the big pond. The moving occasioned considerable excitement on our streets. The building was placed on 2 large runners and was drawn by 8 horses. On its journey, the building broke down our entire telephone system.
It's great.
And one of my favorites from, again, this meat market, Werthwein and Zimmer's ice house was filled with very fine ice. Must have been a slow news week. It's musical performance with Pearl.
Oh, yes.
That's Pearl on the right.
Yes.
Pearl Werthwein Irving. Picture I just liked. This is Bill
Yes.
Werthwein.
I have that.
He died quite young of consumption. He is middle row on left. I think he died at 30. Wow. This is Louisa Kafer Ream, again, my great-grand-aunt. This is her obit. She was the one who came over with Louisa. And if you look at the very end here, you will see all my relatives, really, who came to this funeral, including, I believe, Julius Reichardt and son Charles and Henry. Charles is my grandfather,
Oh, my.
and
Yeah.
Richard is Reichardt.
Oh, my.
They either couldn't spell it or didn't want to spell it.
Probably.
And then Franklin Benjamin Ream obit. Also
Is
with
this in the Hampshire Register?
all these are from the Hampshire Register. Yeah. Also with all my relatives there at the end attending. This is Leif Ream. You know how sensationalist some of those old news
I
stories
know.
were?
Yeah.
This thing goes in depth. I just gave you the first page. Leif Ream in sudden death, fracture skull in accident, fall from Hamo. Brother finds his body. It's really a sad story.
Yes.
This is Alice Kelly, running the phone company here. Bob and Bruce Ream.
Gosh.
And I think this is my last picture. I just stuck it in there, because I liked it. This is Bruce Ream and his videotape machine. Sorry, I was bad at putting dates on some of these, but look at the
Oh,
size
this
of
is
that
great.
machine.
That's wonderful. Oh,
And that's really all I have to present to you.
oh, my. Well, that's very good. Thank you so much. And mine will be boring. But I'll have to stay up. Well, you want to,
Well, I gotta put this in for you if you want to
Yep.
look at these pictures.
that's fine. I thank you so much for coming, and
Yes, it was interesting.
very interesting.
While we're at a pause, we do have a very special woman here from Ella Johnson Memorial Library. You're referring to Ella, that's our Ella Johnson Memorial Library here. And Michelle Halt is
Oh,
here.
Michelle Halt
You want to
is here.
stand, Michelle, please? Oh, Michelle, we thank you. As many of you know, she's a wonderful resource to our community in doing research. So I believe all the Hampshire Register is digital now, is that correct? Available, and a wealth of photos identifying various aspects of the community and the families here. So the library is a great resource, and we thank you very much, Michelle.
Very helpful.
Almost there.
I'm not quite as up to date as I should be, but I will say that I have a 13-year-old great-grandson that's in the hospital, and I have a son that is in the hospital with cancer. So, and at 84, I've slowed down a lot.
You never will. You just,
He's referring to my driving.
did you want to show this?
Yes, yes. Okay, I start out with Frederica, married Eberhard Werthwein, and the parents were Jacob Christopher Widmeyer and Frederica Louise Badinger. And anyway, they had 13 children. so this is do we have the 13 children? Well, anyway, there's 13 children that they are.
Yes, they're in
Okay.
they're on the right-hand side on the
Okay,
bottom.
very good, yeah. Anyway, this is some information that I got from Germany, but my mother and Edna Lubers, I can't recall her maiden name, but she had a son that came and worked on our farm when my dad was running it, and he became Dick's, more or less, father. Anyway, but anyway, Eberhard and Frederica Werthwein had Charles William Werthwein married Catherine Becker, and Charles was the one that ran the meat market in Hampshire, and he also didn't like farming, so he decided to go down to where was it?
Jacksonville?
Jacksonville to learn the meat market business. But while he was down there, he was in Jacksonville. He was admiring a picture of a woman in the Photoshop, and out stepped a woman, and that was Catherine Becker. Now, Catherine Becker's father also started a band in Jacksonville. What state were we in?
Illinois.
Jacksonville, thank you. Anyway, so he started a band, a German band, and this gentleman played for Lincoln's inaugural,
Presidential
thank you.
inauguration.
And then he was 95 years old, and he also played at Lincoln's funeral. So, and that was Catherine Becker's father. So, Charles and Catherine, they married in September 19th, but when he came back to Hampshire, he wanted to go back into the meat market business, and so he did. And I'm sorry,
I got a picture here.
okay, very good. And so Percy, also his son, was also, he had a set of twins, Percy and Pearl. Pearl Reinken and Percy Werthwein were his children. He also had Bert and Carl, and those two children died at an early age. I don't know if there was a fall from a wagon or something that caused the kids to pass away. Anyway, they came back into the Hampshire area, and they built a house which was the Hampshire Funeral Home. Now it is the Hampshire Funeral Home. So, huh?
It's gone
Oh,
now. That one.
okay. Needless to say, they had a 16th, Hampshire people had a 16th anniversary for them, because they were back in town and the house was done, and they were having we have a picture.
Yeah, I got that picture.
Kathy, Kate, and, yeah. So anyway,
That one there.
yes, that's Charles and Charles and
Catherine,
Catherine.
or Kate.
Yeah. Anyway, when they were having their 16th anniversary, they came back into Chicago, came back, and the people of Hampshire had gotten together, and I'm going to read you the article that was in the paper. The surprise party tendered for Mr. and Mrs. C.W. Werthwein at their spacious dwelling last Wednesday evening was one of the happiest social events ever held here. Dainty and exquisite to the minute's detail, After the first shock of surprise, Mr. and Mrs. Werthwein recovered themselves and received their guests with becoming hospitality. During the evening, Mr. and Mrs. Werthwein were remarried by Squire Dixon officiating, and cards and various games and social conversations were indulged in till 11 o'clock, when a dozen or so more small tables were placed in the parlors, and after the guests had seated themselves, Professor C.F. Holbert, on behalf of the guests, presented Mr. and Mrs. Werthwein with a handsome silver tea set. On one of the pieces on which was engraved, presented to Mr. and Mrs. C.W. Werthwein on their 16th anniversary by friends, September 19th, 1894, which was my Aunt Dolly. Well, she was Carol Werthwein. She just recently passed away in October. She was 5 days short of being 101. And so she was also in one of the very first women in the waves, and she was in World War II, and she worked as a nurse. She said she had, after she got done with her training, the girl said, "You can pass any RN test if you want to." So, needless to say, on one of the celebrating women's history, I was with Aunt Dolly. We called her Aunt Dolly. Anyway, I was with Aunt Dolly, and we went on to the PX to get some groceries, and she had, a woman came up to her and said, "I see," because of the license plate, she could see that she was a retiree. So anyway, so she was asked to do a woman's presentation at the, what do you call it? I'm sorry, at the base. And so she did that, and I was honored to be with her. And as we were driving onto the base, she said, "World War II, you would have never got here." Anyway, and then her husband, Uncle Ralph, also took me on the base, and we were parked up on a hill, and we could watch all the jeeps going up and down the boats, ships, I should say. Anyway, but it was very nice, and it was an honor to know these people. And we also had uncles in the Marines, and 2 uncles in the Marines, and then Mark Werthwein from Sycamore also was in the Marines. So anyway, getting back to the old times. There was several people. Auntie Pearl and her cousin,
That's Percy and Pearl as children.
okay, yeah, okay, go back to the next one. That is a picture of Kate Werthwein, or Kate is in the middle, and that's Charles Eberhard, Charles Werthwein's wife. And you can see there's also a picture, oh gosh. Sorry, I'm out
Kay
of
happens to
sync.
be being held there in that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a younger girl.
Yeah. Yes, I'm the baby in that picture, my mother. And Annie Pearl, who was the school or the teacher of music here in Hampshire. And she also wrote plays and had plays. There was plays put on at the downtown on Main Street. And that's Judy and Rita standing as well. But it was very, very much fun.
She had this picture here of John and Pearl Werthwein Rankin. And he actually, there was a note in her book here, sold 3 horses to Belgium during World War I for $300 each.
Yeah.
He also was the Uncle John shipped the first Holstein cows to Puerto Rico.
And when Norm was going through my album, he noticed that they were registered Holsteins, and which he himself had registered Holsteins. And Norm, my brother here, he also had the number 2 dairy. What year was that? Do you remember?
In the 80s.
In the 80s?
Yep.
In Wisconsin?
Kansas.
So anyway, I'm sorry I'm so,
Who are you going to next year?
we'll go to the Widmeyer brothers.
I don't have pictures of those.
Okay. Okay, one time, Percy graduated from high school in 1899. And so this is a picture of his graduation. And this is the house that they built, where Charles Werthwein's home was, below it. And
That's the picture of it then, and today is the funeral home.
correct, yeah,
St. Barnabas.
yeah. So then this is the picture that you have
No, that one? Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think it's this way.
Funeral home is where I had to go register for the draft.
There we go.
Yeah, this is the meat market that Charles came back, and Percy is in the
Far
in-
right.
Yeah, the far right picture. So, anyway,
Any idea whereabouts on Main Street that was?
no, I don't recall of anyone telling me where it was. But Pearl and Grace Leach had married William Leach, who was a eye, nose, and throat doctor. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He was a Methodist minister.
Yes.
Gosh. I've been reading this over and over, and I'm so sorry.
This is where
I've-
Grace went to Dr. Dwight Orcutt.
Okay, Orchid. Okay, you got the wrong. I got the wrong.
So he was the doctor, an eye, nose, and throat specialist that trained other doctors, and they resided in Lake Forest.
Okay, orchids. Yeah,
And then we
you
have,
have this picture.
no,
Okay, that's all right. I'm sorry, I got off on that.
we didn't really get a chance to coordinate some of these pictures along with the right
I'm
spot.
looking for my.
So she also, while she's looking, we had this picture of the Channing farm where her mother and father lived in 1939 with some people. Kind of hard to see. Her dad's way in the background on the left by a pump handle. And there is actually a small boy back there too.
Mike Channing was also there. And,
And here's a ream.
yeah,
Which one's the ring?
In the back,
Bob Ream is in the back holding the boy sticking up. And Phyllis, you can't see her, but she's standing behind myself on the very end. She's in the very back. So anyway, I'm going to start with Charles and Kate returned to Hampshire on their 16th. Oh, I have already done that. I'm sorry, I've just got it. I will say that Eberhard was born on April 10th in Germany, and he lived in France and in Vineyard, and unsatisfied with either France or Germany, he chose to come to America on October 25th, 1851. He became a blacksmith and was employed in a shop nearby the Heroin The romance budded and bloomed into the Werthwein history. That's when he had met
Kate?
thank you. Tell ya. I'm sorry. Eberhard was unsatisfied with living in the East and heard wonderful tales of the Midwest and homesteaders that might be had for the tilling of the soil, and he turned his family towards Chicago. And there, for a very short time, they located on a farm on the outskirts of Hampshire. Religion played a great part in the family affairs. Frederica was converted and joined the Evangelical Church in 1859. The couple were pioneers of the church, and each morning before work, he compiled the family worship with reading of the Bible and prayers. This was as important as the air they breathed. Eberhard reading and each one kneeling in prayer. Grandma Muth made her home with the family part-time, which was okay. Here, just a minute. I started out wrong and I got totally. Grandma Muth was she had married Frederica Louise Battinger had married Jacob Christopher Widmeyer, and they were the parents of Frederica and Eberhard Werthwein. So she, the grandma, spent time at the Eberhard's log cabin. Now, I loved coming to Hampshire my dad rented the Channing farm, which was the farm that Eberhard started. And anyway, Mike Channing was the owner at that farm at that time. And I always loved coming. I got the job of raking hay, and then I also drove the baler as well. So we always went to McNamara's restaurant downtown for lunch, and I loved that. And then I would run across the street to Wilcox Drugstore and buy a comic book. And a lot of times I'd read the comic book while I was raking hay. Anyway, that wasn't so good because then I had to drive the baler, which was going like that. Anyway, but we did enjoy it, and I think one of the biggest memories I think of the Channing farm was when my dad got a movie camera for the first time, and so he had us, and the Parkses, which was Aunt Greta, and her husband was in World War II, so he was one of the Marines. And anyway, the Parks kids came, and there was 4 kids, and so those 4 kids and us, the Werthweins, which I don't know how many had skates for themselves, but we all went skating on the pond, the whole green pond, the Channing farm.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did.
I'm hungry.
Anyway, but it was, and my dad, so we had a 49 Ford at the time, so my dad got the movie camera going, and he says, okay, he had all of us kids start getting out of the Ford. So then he stopped the camera and he had the next crowd go in. So he had all these kids coming out of the same car. That was a great memory. Anyway, but oh my, Grandma Muth made her home with the family part-time, and Rika's sisters and brothers were also welcome to spend much of the time as they wished. Eberhard was considered a good provider. Their home was never too full that one more could always be stowed away. Their home was located at the end of current Washington Street, also known as Westvine and Werthwein. The old log cabin held many happy days for the young people of the village. Frederica, being a very generous and fond of youth, made the home a favorite meeting place for them. In 1885, Eberhardt was very active in the village committees. So this information was found in the Hampshire Register on April 30th. He was on the building committee and the license, fire, water, and streets and alleys. So that was quite impressed. Their son Charles William was an early businessman with his partner Adam Zimmerman. But then he went off and found his wife in Jacksonville, Illinois. So Eberhardt's son William took ownership of the farm during his short period. He didn't live too long. William and his wife passed away, leaving 2 children, Bill and Alice, as orphans. William's sister Lydia and her husband Frank Channing and my Uncle John Reinkin were given legal guardianship of Bill and Alice. Later, Frank Channing remarried and had a son named Mike. And Mike Channing later married Stella Getzelman. My father, Roger, rented the farm from Mike. And I enjoyed going over there. One time we got back from having lunch, and I don't know, did I say where we came back from having lunch, and Mike Channing was there, and he was laying on the grass with the guys. They always sometimes would lay down and sleep or take a little nap. My dad said to him, he says, "Now just where was the log cabin built here?" And Mike said, "Well, we're laying right where it was." So there was a top of the hill. Now it's all houses, but at the top of the hill there was a real grassy spot, and then there was a big shed right next to as you drove down, and the house at the bottom was where my mom and dad lived before my dad, I think, worked at the Elgin Water Softener Company, and then when Percy, his dad, passed away, Uncle Carl took over the farm, and then later, because of the war, he went over and was working overseas at Malaysia. So, and 2 of his kids went to Australia for their education. Anyway, after this tea set, when Aunt Dolly passed away, Aunt Dolly had called all the cousins. Grandma Alice had 52 cousins, or 52 grandchildren, I should say. 50 out of the 52 grandchildren, Aunt Dolly was the one that kept the family together. And all of us, when she said, "You come see me and visit me, I'm turning 98, and we're gonna have a party bash, my birthday bash," and she says, "Then after that, you can forget the funeral." So we celebrated her 98th, and I think almost all 52 cousins were there, except for 2 of them. One was having a test for her RN, and the other one was, he was from North Carolina, that didn't show. But needless to say, when she turned 100, we all decided to have another party. So we had another party. Her sons, she had 4 sons, and those 4 sons opened their house and helped all of us have a party. Now Richard has a beautiful, I call it a mansion, but a beautiful swimming pool to go along with it. And the most fun part I found in that whole party was these little 2- and 3-year-old kids that were swimming, and they just went like fish. Anyway, it was so nice to see. Aunt Dolly was kind of the one that just kept the whole family together, and it was very nice. So anyway, and her kids were all very good. Needless to say, I don't know. I'll tell you about my picture albums. I know we had a lot of the pictures from the Gustafson, but when my mother passed away in 1990, she had said, I went up there and helped her get ready and clean and everything, and she says, if you find any pictures, put them in this box. So we had a big, huge box, and I said, is anybody taking the pictures home? And nobody wanted to take the pictures home. So I volunteered, I got all the pictures, and my husband said, you can bring them home and put them in the basement, but they gotta be out of the basement by April. She died in January 1st. I think I made 8 albums in that winter, and I was still working. So anyway, but Norm and I had a real fun time. We went out and seen where Grandma Alice's parents were. Adam Bruner and Anna Marie Fredericks. They had children, which was Albert, Norm, Agnes, Claire, Howard, Charles, and then there was a stillborn, and then Alice Carroll. Well, they had a 1890 epidemic of the black diphtheria, and they lost 5 children of Adam and Anna. The children are buried at Elburn, Iowa, in the Irving Cemetery at Tama, Iowa. The land was given to Grandpa Bruner, Christian Bruner, for the Rose Hill Cemetery. He was also the founder of Ebron, Iowa, and Alice was born 2 months after the last child died. So Roberta had given me some quilt blocks, and so the quilt blocks were given to me, and she says, I'm never gonna quilt them. So anyway, at the Steam Power Show, I found one, a friend of mine that I went to school with, her husband, and she did the quilting, and so we made a centerpiece and 2 placemats. But Norm and I found the children's cemetery and the monuments for the kids, and that's where we found the cemetery as well. So that's fine. We can say goodbye.
Thank you. I will show you.
There's no picture of either of her, is there?
And this is my grandmother.
That's sad.
So anyway,
Thank you. All the Werthweins, please stand if you're related. Good, glad you're here.
this is the Wisconsin farm, and this is the Illinois farm. Roger and Virginia lived here with Grandma Alice and all her kids, and then Norm and his boys now are running the farm here in Wisconsin.
So let me underline, save your pictures and your memorabilia, bring them to the Historical Society. We want to capture these things before they're gone. And we appreciate your attendance, your support, and participation. Be real careful going home. It's chilly out there. Thank you for coming.